Hello, I'm Krista West of Avlea Folk Embroidery, and this is the April FlossTube. You can see I'm in my spring dress today because I'm thinking positive about the weather. It's actually supposed to be 70 degrees here, I think today, which I'm really excited about. I am a native Oregonian, so I can definitely do the rain. I mean, I am that strong, but by this time of year, I absolutely am ready to see some sunshine and some flowers. So for those of you who are just joining, clearly I'm Krista West. All the places you can find me. You can find me at the Avlea Folk Embroidery website, which is avleaembroidery.com. Avlea is spelled A-V-L-E-A, means courtyard in Greek. It's where people used to stitch, which is why we're named that. And I am also on Instagram under my name, Krista M. West. I know, it probably should be Avlea Folk Embroidery, but you know, hopefully people find me. You can also mark your Avlea projects with hashtag Avlea Folk Embroidery. Wow, I've been seeing a ton of people do that lately, and it's so much fun for me to see the projects. So please share the projects because I love seeing the projects. That just totally makes my day when somebody's posting their cool little Avlea thing they did. Very, very fun. And then also joining us in the workshop today here, but very much in the background, is Pamela. So I'm going to pan around here to Pamela. Say hi. Pamela is saving my bacon. So Pamela is my good friend and neighbor. And about 6 weeks ago, I just got to this point where I was completely overwhelmed. And I was literally working 10 and 12-hour days, trying to get the tailoring done, trying to get the kits done, trying to get new releases done. And I was like, I can't live like this. So I put a little shout out among friends and neighbors and was like, hey, does anybody know anybody looking for, part-time work? It's kind of fun, and making embroidery kits and winding floss and cutting fabric and things like that. And Pamela responded. And it was kind of funny because one of my biggest concerns about that was that my workshop's in my home. And I was like, it's got to be somebody I can really work with. Pamela already has a key to my house, which just cracks me up. So there we are. So Pamela's here today. She's helping me out. She's making Macedonian bird kits right now because for those of you who are interested, I just released a few more on the website. I found when I was moving linen around, I found I had one last little tiny section of the legacy dower linen. So I put that together for the Macedonian birds. Anyways, all that to say, let's get to talking about stitching. Let me find my list because I need a list today. That's how much stuff there is to talk about. It's a lot of stuff. As usual, didn't think I had anything to talk about, and yet here we are. So, first things, let me actually show you something that Pamela did, which is really cool. So, for a long time, we've had our little BitKit, the Ukrainian crisscross BitKit in the blue and black version. Pamela, when we were trying to think up something to do for Ukraine to be supportive of the people in Ukraine that are suffering, Pamela was like, hey, what if we changed out the black to yellow and do it in blue and yellow? And she made this adorable wall hanging for her front door. So she has this hanging on her front door. It's really cool. She literally just took, what are these? Are they little skewers? They're just little skewers that she literally stitched to the back to create this adorable little wall hanging. That is such a clever way to do that. And now what we're doing is we're sending, every time you buy this kit, it comes with the blue floss, the black floss, as well as the yellow floss. So you can decide how you want to stitch it. And all the proceeds from this kit are going to the Ukraine. We've made a donation through Laura Chieco's organization, as well as when I'm able to, I am actually sending funds to my good friend Ivan, who used to live in Kiev and is now actually he's still in the Ukraine, but he's in a safer area. So that's the first thing today, the Ukrainian crisscross design. And as long as we're speaking about bit kits, all the bit kits are on sale for another, 10 days, another 10 days. They're 20% off. With the code, hang on, because I don't know how to put text on a video, people. We're doing this old school. With the code, Spring Basket. Okay, because I was thinking, oh, how fun to put something in an Easter basket. Because not everybody wants chocolate and tons of, sweet temptations in their Easter baskets. I mean, I always do. But sometimes you want to give something that isn't necessarily a consumable item like food. And so I think giving the gift of handcraft is a really great idea. So BitKits, Spring Basket, 20% off all of them. You can even snag some of those Mediterranean motifs, the pincushion kits that I only have maybe have 5 or 6 of them left. Like they're almost all gone, as well as anything else you wanted to try your hand at. So including the new, wow, that was a really good segue. Including the new release that just released yesterday, BitKit Chloris. It's finally here. I know I've been showing you guys this in process for the last couple of months, but it's time to shine. I really wanted to release this one when it was springy and, you know, well, okay, it's not summery. I'm really thinking ahead here and very much thinking positive, but springy and happy and this really kind of cool colorway. So this is the, oh boy, now I'm going to forget. It's the 930 Antique Blue Dark. The green is, I think it's the 502. I think that's the right one. I always get 502, 501, and 503 mixed up, but I think it's 502. But this is a fantastic little all-over design. It's a really, I will tell you, it is a really good bang for your buck as far as bit kits go, because it's over 4,000 stitches, and it's a lot of floss that comes in this kit, but it's still priced the same, the $22 regularly, as all the other bit kits. And it's on the 30 count Messinian, which, as you can see, is just fabulous for doing drawn thread work on. Okay, so BitKit Chloris just released, and it'll actually be on sale. You can still use our, wait, where'd my cheat sheet go? Where'd I put it down? You can still use Spring Basket for 20% off, even a brand new release. Because frankly, I just haven't figured out on the website like how to exclude new releases. And I always feel like, well, if we're gonna have a sale, it should just be on everything. So anyways, so all the bit kits, including the new one. This is just a really neat little 2-color repeating design. And this is one of those, like many repeating designs, the design is almost created by negative space. So these little white flowers that pop out, those actually are not a stitched area. That's just the fabric coming out from this background of the stitching, which is really cool. I always love this effect. I've been really thinking a lot about this lately. Why was I thinking about this? Oh, because I was looking at some older designs that had been adapted for needlepoint. And I was looking at how needlepoint almost always uses the entire surface of the fabric. So everything's stitched. So it has a very sort of flat effect. And I was looking at that and I was thinking, well, wait, how exactly is counted thread work a little different? And it's actually, counted thread work is different because we use the fabric itself as not just as like a ground cloth, like that we're going to cover up entirely, but as a medium, as an artistic medium in its own right. So like where you have the fabric showing through, where you don't, how you cover it, how you leave some places open, is kind of, for me, one of the magic things about cross stitch. It creates almost a sense of depth to the work that something like needlepoint doesn't have. Not to knock needlepoint. Needlepoint's great. And actually, oh my gosh, I didn't have this on my list, but I should tell you guys this because it's really cool. My super exciting thing that happened this last week was Appleton's, which is a company that creates crewel wools for needlepoint and embroidery, emailed me. Oh, so exciting. They emailed me. They are sending me samples. They thought some of my designs would be wonderful worked in wool. And I just had to have a moment because it's something that simply had never occurred to me. And then I was like, oh my gosh, crewel wool on linen. Yes, please. I was just envisioning these like wonderful textural cushion covers. So I'm really excited about getting their samples. And here's the deal. For those of you who are not familiar with Appleton's in Britain, they were the company that actually designed the wools and developed the crewel wools for William Morris. Okay, one of my great and enduring textile inspirations. So for Appleton's to reach out to little me and offer me crewel wools was like, it was a thing. It was a day. I just went around happy that whole day. It was so exciting. So I'm waiting for those samples and I'm really curious to see how that all works out because I think it could be really neat to do wool embroidery floss. Like they're not flosses, they're wools. I don't know why we use two different words, but I've got to think about that because that's actually kind of cool. We use floss for cotton and linen and silk, but we use wool for crewel wools. Anyways, I'm sure there's a whole art history thing behind there. That's a little rabbit hole I'm going to have to go down. But anyways, so I just was thinking that could be such a neat look. So anyways, so now we're just working to like key the DMC floss colors to the Appleton's wool colors, and I'm waiting for the samples, and then I'll like kind of figure that out and do a little sample stitching, which is actually perfect timing because right now we're working on four new border designs. They won't, one of them is going to release next month. I'll show you that one in a minute. And then the other 3 are going to probably release in the fall, because when I was kind of looking over the Avlea website and trying to figure out what areas looked a little thin, I was really looking and seeing that the squares and borders area like could use some more designs. And so I came up with some new ones, and oh, so much fun. So anyways, those would be really awesome in wool. So I'll keep you posted on that. As far as linen, dun, 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 dun. What are you looking at behind me? 2 gorgeous, amazing bolts of Greek linen. Woo! I know I've been talking about this for months now, right? Like, Krista's going to get linen. Krista's not going to get linen. Krista's stuff is held up in customs, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, it's here. It just came in a few days ago. It's fabulous. I love this linen. It's great. It is not as thick and plushy as like the old dour linen, but the nice thing about it is you can see the threads a little easier. I just started stitching on it last night and I really like it. And I got it in 2 colors. I think I have a 3rd one coming. This was our first test shipment to like make sure that the shipping method we chose had worked out and everything from my supplier in Greece. And it worked out. And now I'm waiting for a 2nd shipment to come in. And I think that one might have an even more of a beige color, which I'm really excited about too. So the colors that I got right now, we are calling them porcelain. That's the bright white. And then vanilla. The vanilla is like a really warm white, not as dark as an ivory. So I really like, and not as you can see, actually, I don't know, you really probably can't see this from the camera, but it's not as dark of a color as like the traditional ground cloth. So it's still very much in that warm white category. But the great thing about it is now we have it. And so now the blue larkspur kits are restocked in linen. The Posca basket kits, like all the different Posca basket kits, are restocked in linen. And I was able to finally restock Daphni. This is the little Daphni design, which always kind of amazes me, like how many people like this design. It's really simple. It's great for meditative stitching. And it looks really cool on a table, like when you put like a green or blue vase here, you know, like a green or blue glass vase. That's how I usually use it. But I couldn't offer this as a kit for the longest time because I didn't have a good 30 count linen. Now we do. So we just restocked all of those kits. Pamela made up the kits. We're all good to go. So that was really exciting to get the linen in and just to be able to have it for a bunch of new things. I mean, I love the traditional ground cloth. I love the Mickey, but again, variety is the spice of life. And so it's nice to have the linen for different things. I just started stitching. I don't even have enough of it to really show you, but I started stitching this new little pine tree motif that's really cool. It's from, it was inspired by a motif from a 17th century cushion in the Greek islands. Really cool. And it's in a yellow and green, or like kind of an olivey yellow, green and green palette. And it's not a common palette seen in a lot of Greek folk embroidery. You only see it once in a while. And even across all the Avlea offerings, like Miriam's Garden is done in that kind of soft yellow, soft green palette. This new one that I'm working on is going to be called Palladian Pines. Love that name. That felt like a little genius moment when I came up with that one. And it's going to be in an olive green. It's right now I'm working with the 733, which is like a bright olive green. And then the 3347, which is like the fern green. It's a really fresh, springy green. So I'm pretty excited about that one. Hopefully I'll have enough to show you in the next FlossTube. I probably will. Okay, so moving along, the next release, which I showed you the BitKit Chloris, but then I totally forgot to show you the other release for April, is finally Calliope's Meadow. So Calliope's Meadow is a border design. This section of the motif, if you actually see it in half like this, okay, this little section of the motif is actually seen as a tiny little section on a Greek bed tent curtain in an old research photo of an exhibition of Greek folk embroidery at the Burlington Fine Arts Club in like 1914. But I just love these stylized carnations. And then when I saw this kind of repeating chevron thing going on with these little flower buds, I was just like, oh, what can I do with that? So I charted out a little section of it and I started playing around with all the different ways that you could use this design. Because originally I thought, well, we'll do it like a square and we'll just make it go all the way around. but there just wasn't good energy with that. So I started actually playing around with mirroring it and then running it kind of off center. And then I suddenly got this super cool little chevron kind of zigzag energy going on. Love this design. You'll notice too, it's in really fresh colors, really great for spring. It's not a big design. And part of how I made it look a little bigger than it actually is you'll notice this has got a lot more hem allowance here. So while a lot of my kits up to now have been 2 inches hem allowance, this one has a whopping 4 because I started playing around with a deeper drawn thread hem and decided I really, really liked it. And so this one has that big, deep drawn thread, almost like inch drawn thread hem. So it just gives it kind of a bigger, bolder look. And that works really well for these kind of like table runner designs where a border runs down the center. Because you know, those of you who are fairly new, like table runners, they're a thing in Greece, okay? You practically can't walk the streets of Greece without being hit by a table runner. I mean, they are on display in shops and they're in people's houses and like they're just everywhere. It's a country of table runners. Maybe their like country flag should actually be a table runner. But I have secretly always loved table runners. I've just had a thing for table runners. Okay, why is that? Because when I was newly married, I got married really young. I got married at age 18. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to run a house. I didn't know how to clean. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to do anything. And my mother-in-law had this big old Portland Foursquare house that I was just like enamored with. And she always had her dining room table set up where she always had a tablecloth on that table. Like always. I can't even remember ever seeing like the table without a tablecloth. And then she would always have a table runner like down the middle and some sort of arrangement with flowers. And I had just never seen that really before. And I just was like, that is so swanky. And it made a huge impression on me, as you can see, now that I've designed like a gazillion table runners. And I still have them like everywhere. I have them on my entryway table, on my coffee table, and all different places because I just love table runners. Anyways, I like little ones, big ones, small ones. I don't know. I just think table runners are just really a great way to bring textiles in. And even though I just went off on table runners, the other thing that just occurs to me too, this design could be super duper cool as a cushion. Like you could do this as like a cushion, like a bolster cushion in a bedroom. That would look awesome too. So Calliope's Meadow, new release. We have got to keep it moving here, people. I have to keep myself moving because there's a lot still to go through. So we talked about the Greek linen. Okay, great. Today, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of something that is not going to be on the Avlea website for probably almost a year, but it is going to be coming out in Taproot magazine at the end of summer. But I had to do all these projects. When I do projects for magazines and things like this, there's usually a lot of behind the scenes work that has to happen. And so Taproot came to me last year and was like, we liked your first article. Would you do a couple more for us? And I'm like, yes, please. And they wanted me to do an article on repurposing fabric with sort of an art history angle. And I'm like, I'm your girl. I know all about like the woven tapestry bandings that they put on Byzantine tunics and all this stuff. It's like, this is my thing. So there is this whole tradition of like reusing textiles, embroidered bands and tapestry woven bands on garments. And the article is going to be about that, but they were like, they want a project to go with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to like come up with a project like that? So then I had an idea. I was like, what if we mimic that same idea? And then I think in the last FlossTube, I showed you my really, really sad work apron that is literally in tatters. That's not a figurative statement at all. It is literally falling apart. And sometimes I go to put my pencil in my pocket and it like falls through. So I needed a new apron. And I was like, wait, what if we put it on an apron? So sneak peek, here's what we came up with. So this is Robert Kaufman's Essex linen. So it's a cotton linen blend. And here is my oh so cute work apron. Here we go. With little embroidered pocket tops. And it's designed in such a way, the kit and the pattern and the instructions are designed in such a way that when the apron wears out, you just simply pull off the pockets and you can put them on something else, another apron or another project or whatever you want. But this is a really sweet little embroidered border done in terracotta and 926 blue and 310 black. And then we use it as the little apron. Now, the really cool thing about this is it had never occurred to me to actually start adding any sort of sewing component to any of my kits and designs. I mean, I've had cushion covers up till now, but it just hadn't really I hadn't thought to bring that whole part of my experience and knowledge into the cross stitching part of my brain. And they kind of went, ooh! And I like had all these projects like come at me when I suddenly realized, wait, I can combine the two. What fun. And so the apron project, what I'm actually hoping to do eventually is offer like maybe a number of designs in different colors of linen and things like that. But when this comes off copyright from Taproot, this will be available on the Avlea website. Although actually, you know, get it at Taproot. We love supporting Taproot too. That's great. It'll be out in August. So it won't be coming out for a while, but I wanted to show it to you before it got like messy and dirty. Because within a week or two, this thing's going to look definitely loved. But, the kit will actually come with the full yard of the linen fabric, the Mechany 26 count that you need for the embroidery floss, and complete sewing instructions like with sketches and everything. So that's going to be kind of a fun project, fun kit to come out. And again, that'll be more like August, late summer, but I thought you might enjoy seeing a little sneak peek of that project. And then I started like really just like going with the whole sewing thing. And my little granddaughter, Miriam, is about 1.5 years old. Well, she's a little more than 1.5 years old now. And I was trying to think of ways, I think I mentioned this in the last FlossTube, of ways to put embroidery in her hands and textiles and things. And so I am working on the Byzantine Beasts quiet book. It is fabulous. I'm really excited about it. But Miriam really, really loves dogs. And so one of the motifs on that was dogs. And I wanted to do something to put in her Easter basket. So the very first thing I did is I took the dog motif and I made it into a little soft toy that she can carry around like as if she's walking her dogs, okay? This is also, we'll do these as kits because they're just too cute. And the kit will come with like the Robert Kaufman lining fabric and all the things. But this is the first sneak peek of the Byzantine Beasts, which will come in 2 versions. It'll come as a layout for a quiet book so that you can think a needle book. If you think about like if you've ever made a needle book, like for storing your needles in with like the felt pages in the middle, it'll be a lot like that in terms of construction. And the kit will like include everything you need, the fabric, the embroidery fabric, everything. And that has like one orientation because it's book pages. You have to set up the motifs in a specific order to get them to turn out when you sew them into pages. And then there will be another version of the pattern where it's going to be all constructed for a wall hanging. And it'll be 8 Byzantine beasts. Let's see, 2 dogs, a peacock, horses, ducks, butterflies, adorable sweet little birds. I'm forgetting. Oh, this awesome, awesome parrot. Oh my gosh, I found him in an old like embroidery from a purist. So he's not technically Byzantine, but he has just got this parrot attitude going on. He's awesome. And then, so the wall hanging will actually have like a border around it so that you can make it either as a quiet book or as a wall hanging, or just use the motifs individually for whatever smallest projects you want. So it's definitely in the works. But here is the little embroidered bag I made. Whoops. Oh, how about if I turn it around and show you the embroidery? So you'll recognize, those of you who have ordered recently will recognize this as this is the brand new Posy border free chart. The little free chart that comes in with your order, the little like 3x5 card thing. It looks like a little postcard. I just love that design. And I had this fabric and I was like, oh, those would be perfect together. So I've created a pattern. This will release as like a little BitKit where again, you get the fabric this is Robert Kaufman fabric. This is, I think this is one of the cotton lawns. I think this is Seven Berry Petite's cotton lawn. I got to look at my notes, but I think so. And then this is like a little bit of 30 count linen and then your fabric. This literally you can work up in like 2 nights. And then it comes with full sewing instructions to do the bag in this really cool technique that I saw in Greece years ago. And I've used it kind of ever since whenever I want to make a really easy lined bag. So the general idea is basically that this is one long strip of fabric. You sew another long strip of fabric to it, leave an opening, turn it inside out, and then you fold them in half like this. And then you stitch the sides on the outside. It's a totally cool construction. It blew my mind when I first saw this in Greece. I was like, why have I never seen that? It just was so cool. So anyways, that's coming. It'll all be explained in the pattern. So I'll definitely release that pretty soon. I'll probably release this in next month. I'm guessing this will release because I just thought it'd be so much fun. I don't know. I probably have enough of the fabric to make maybe 30 or 40 of the kits. So if that's one you're interested in, definitely watch for that. Sign up for the emails because that one I'll like basically say, hey, it's available now, whatever. Okay, so the little bag. And it's really kind of got me on this smalls kick. So I'm definitely thinking through other ways of like doing bag tutorials and things like that. So that's definitely coming because I think it's really cool when we can combine, we can do multimedia textile presentations. So we can have cross stitch and sewing all in the same project. Very fun. So that's that. Now, oh, let's see. The next thing up, and this will be next month's release, is the Cycladian Scrolls. I think I showed it to you last month, but I can't remember if I had it totally finished. Pamela and I did this awesome photo shoot last week. Oh, I was so happy with the photos. And we all know how much I struggle with the photos. But it was a really great day. The lighting was great, and we got them in my living room. And it just, oh, I'm so happy with the photos. Really shows the design. So this is just a gorgeous design. I think I talked about it last time. If you remember, I originally was thinking that this would be cushion number 2 in my living room cushion project. My, goal of having 3 hand embroidered cushions and big ones in my living room. Then I got it done and I was like, oh, it really wants to be a table square. So I did a drawn thread hem on it. It's a really neat design. It's from the Cyclades Islands, which is why we're calling it Cycladian Scroll. And you've got these really awesome scrolls in here. The original design had like a repeat of the little scrolls in here, but they looked weird. It looked like someone had actually made a mistake. And I was like, you know what? I think I'd like something a little bit more regular. And it just looked weird because like sometimes they would go this way, sometimes they'd go the opposite way. And there was no kind of rhyme or reason to it. And I actually felt like the design was stronger when it was just this very strong sort of cross with scrolls and an octagon. This one also has really cool checkerboard fill. So I love in Greek design, if you can see that, we're in here, the little blue right in here, and let's see, in here, and then where's the red? Then the red one's here. I love when you use those alternating cross stitches to create that checkerboard fill. It's really cool. And then this is the new Mycenae 26 count. For those of you who haven't heard the other floss tubes, we've had the Mycenae in a 30 count, in a white, and in like a very deep ecru. But I've wanted it in something that's closer in color to the traditional ground cloth. And this is the 26 count. This is currently my favorite fabric to work on. It is so easy to see the threads. I love the sort of smooth polish of the fabric. It has a little bit more swanky feel. It's just very different. It's different than the traditional ground cloth and different than the linen. It's just a very different animal. And then I'm also working on a BitKit in this design too, so that people can like try it out. So that's the Cycladian Scrolls. Let me see what else is up here on my list. Okay. Oh, I know. I have 2 new pomegranate collection patterns that I just released. One, I love this one. I released it and then I was like, oh, maybe I should have just stitched that. It's such a cool design. But we're just going to put it on pomegranate collection because then anybody can stitch it who wants it. And this one's called Agnese. It's actually a design that I found in one of my vintage Latvia needlework designs. And it was like a little tiny snippet of it. And it was like monochromatic. And I was like, well, wait, how could we make this more colorful and more sort of have the energy and the feel of traditional folk embroidery? And for a long time, for the last almost 6 months, it sat on my design board because I kept messing around with the colors and messing around with the colors, and I just could not nail the colors. And then finally I was like, okay, go back to step 1. Step 1, when you're doing traditional folk embroidery design, is to make things black and red, because that is so much of folk embroidery is black and red. So I did it, and of course, instantly the design pops. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Here's the chart. It's gorgeous. And for those of you who are not familiar with the pomegranate collection, basically these are designs that I don't have time to stitch right now, but I don't want to wait to release them. So, because I am an impatient person, and I feel like there should be, as much folk embroidery in the world as possible. So here's what I do. I create the design, the chart, the big chart, and then the close-up chart. This is like actually half size of the design. So you can see that way it would go half, and then you'd like flip it and work the other half. Okay. So then here on the cover page of the pattern, where there would normally be that beautiful staged photograph, that I got in the living room or in one of the windows of the house or something like that, I don't have a stitch sample, so I don't have anything to photograph. So we just put the full-size chart here. These patterns are available only as downloads. They're $5, and they're on the section that says Pomegranate Collection. When you're at the Avlea website, it says like shop, and then under there is like all the little things like BitKits and smallish kits and all those things, all those categories. You just look for Pomegranate collection. And this is a great way to experiment. The other great thing is, okay, you guys probably all remember this, but if you stitch one of these and you send it to me to photograph, you get a $50 credit at the Avlea website, and I draw and thread hem your piece and send it back to you. So what is not to love about that? Because that's part of the problem, is I just have so much more stitching to do than I really can possibly do. So that's that one, Agnese. The other one is Messinian Diamonds. This is a new one. This is actually from a little tiny scrap, a little tiny embroidery piece that I have in my own private collection. And I've just been so taken with the design. I'll show it to you a little closer. It's this really cool little like kind of chevron design, but with these really cool kind of almost Egyptian feeling tulips. It's just a sort of straight up folk. This one would be incredibly easy to make either smaller or bigger or longer or whatever size you wanted. This was just sort of the size I started working with it. It's a very, very easy table runner. Very easy. 2 colors, very easy. You could use these borders for other things. Again, this one would be really, really flexible. And this is another pomegranate collection pattern. So I love this one. And I love double-ended runners too. I mean, as we have established today, I love all table runners. But I really do love ones that have like that really cool, like, you know, design here on the ends, real heavy on the end side. And then you've got this whole open space of the fabric to put flowers or, you know, a cake stand or whatever you might put in the middle. Oh, I like the idea of a cake stand. Can you tell I'm thinking about food a lot lately? Yeah, it's almost the end of Lent. I am really thinking about food right now, a lot. Fortunately, it was my birthday last week. It was a great birthday. Oh my gosh, and thank you to everybody who said happy birthday to me on Instagram. That was so nice. And my husband and daughter took me out to this fabulous little local cake shop that does gluten-free cakes. I'm gluten-free. I have celiac disease. And so, you know, cake is not something that I always get to have in my life. But they figured out that this place had gluten-free cake. The best cake. It was so good. It was chocolate buttercream. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was just delicious. So anyways, I've been really thinking about that cake a lot lately, as well as lots of other kind of foods. But only a couple more weeks to go, so I can hang on. Now, let's see. We did pomegranate collection. Oh, okay. So other things happening kind of in Avlea news. The first off, you're probably looking at behind me and saying, what is Krista doing with this weird thing right here? Her like weird PVC wall hanging pipe. That is this is my demo model that I mocked up so I could see if it worked and if it would actually fit in my suitcase for the H&H America show. So I'm kind of equal parts excited and a little bit nervous, but I am taking Avlea to the H&H America show, which is the largest soft crafts industry wholesale exposition like in America. It's in June in Chicago. Because why not? I'm just going to try it. It's where a lot of like people who own yarn stores or knitting store, yarn store, knitting store, same thing, quilting shops, sewing shops, craft shops, boutiques, bookstores, if they are looking to stock like local small business handmade items in their shops, they'll go to the H&H show in Chicago. So I'm going to try it. But the big issue is it's a display only show, which is awesome for me. I don't have to like take a ton of product with me, but I do have to get all of my samples. And I have this like, you know, I have a standard size 8x10 pipe and drape booth. And for those of you who've ever been at an expo or any sort of like event like that, the pipe and drape is really kind of boring. And I was trying to figure out how can we really show all the like bright colorfulness of Avlea. And so I thought, oh, what if we just do it like giant wall hangings essentially? So I'm making 3 of these and I had to see if the PVC pipe would fit in my suitcase and it doesn't. So like I have to actually like get connectors and things. It'll all work out. I have it figured out now. And I watched some great YouTube videos on pipe and drape, which was really fun. I learned a lot about pipe and drape that I didn't know before. But I'll make 3 of these and I'll have panels that will attach to them like almost like a curtain. And then we'll pin all the embroideries to them. So it'll basically be these 3 huge panels. They're each almost 3 feet wide with like all of the Avlea embroidery samples, which I think is going to be really fun. So I am a little nervous. It's a very big, like kind of intimidating kind of show. But I thought, you know what? Why not? Life is short. Let's just see what happens. So H&H. And then I was super excited. So I was getting all ready for H&H and creating the fun PVC wall hanging, you know, pipes. Oh, did you see? I don't know if you can see this in the video. I even figured out you can paint them with a Sharpie on one end and then they look like they're gold. I was kind of excited about that. Turns out PVC pipe takes a Sharpie pen like super well. So just, you know, file that one away for when you need to know that. Then, oh, the last thing on my thing today, and then we're wrapping it up. The Embroiderers Guild, I just want to put a quick shout out for the Embroiderers Guild of America. Some of you are probably already members of the Embroiderers Guild of America, but for many of you who are newer to stitching and who've sort of discovered stitching through Avlea, let me just give a plug for the EGA, as it is commonly known. It is the premier organization of embroiderers and needle people in the United States. They do a tremendous amount with education. They have regional guilds. You can join a regional guild and get to know other stitchers and have access to their usually decades of experience. And they have phenomenal online classes and all sorts of educational opportunities. They publish a fantastic quarterly magazine called Needle Arts that usually has 5 or 6 in-depth articles on different facets of embroidery. My article on Greek folk embroidery was in last September's issue. They're just all around a fabulous organization, but they are also an aging organization and they are trying to find younger people to join. And I've been having conversations. I advertise in Needle Arts. And so I've been having conversations with them about the possibility of maybe having a little bit lower membership fee for newer or younger stitchers or things like that. And they are definitely looking for new members. So if you have not joined the EGA and you are a even semi-avid stitcher, I'd suggest you at least look into it. It's a great resource, a great organization to support. The membership dues aren't that much. I should have checked that before I made this plug. I can't remember. I want to say they're around $50 or $60 a year, and that includes you getting those 4 issues of Needle Arts. If you don't want to do that, then start following them on social media. That's one thing I would ask you to do. Just put them in. The stuff they post, people, you're going to be thanking me, okay? So go get signed up on Instagram or Facebook and find the EGA. I think on Instagram it's EGA USA, but just search Embroiderers Guild of America and they're going to pop up. And what I love about their feed is they're really great at posting both posts and stories, and it's a really diverse amount of embroidery. So you get to see lots of different kinds of embroidery in this one single feed, this one single Instagram account. And they asked me to be one of their vendors at their marketplace event at the EGA National Seminar in New York this August. So I think it's once a year, maybe once every other year. Really, I should have got these details down before I launched into this, but you can look on their website. The Eastern region is I think sponsoring this one, but they get together. It's going to be like over 500 stitchers at the Marquis Hotel. It's the Marquis Marriott literally in Times Square. The room rate, people, in August is like $229 a night, which seriously, have you stayed in New York anytime within the last, I don't know, 2 decades? That's an awesome hotel price. And then you can sign up for different classes and things. I'm actually going to be taking a 2-day goldwork class. Really excited. I haven't done goldwork in too many years to count, but I'm really excited to kind of jump back in and explore goldwork again. And so basically what this is it's like a great big Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5-day conference where you get together, you can sign up for classes, and there are 1-day classes, 2-day classes, 3-day classes, or like you can take 2 2-day classes or 4 1-days, or you can leave days open to sightsee. It's a great setup. I was really impressed by their setup. So I was just going to say, if you haven't really met the Embroiderers Guild of America yet, try and introduce yourself. Look on their Instagram feeds. Look at their website. I love their website. It's very clean, really well laid out, and start following them. And if you feel like you want to do a membership, I'd really recommend that too. You can also be a member at large. Like, for example, the nearest chapter for me is like over an hour and a half away. And so I'm a member at large because I live in Salem, Oregon, and the nearest chapter I think is like way up in Portland or Vancouver or Washington. But anyways, it's a great organization to support, especially if you really love handcrafts and want to support handcrafts. And their organization is really retaining and passing on knowledge to future generations. So we know I'm all about that. So anyways, EGA. So, and then if you feel like it, you want to go to New York, you can come say hi to me. I'll be at the Friday night marketplace event at the Broadway Bound EGA National Seminar. Kind of excited. I am leaving myself a day to go up to the Metropolitan Museum of Art so I can just walk through, get all inspired. Because boy, I stand on the steps of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I could like probably stand there and then just look at it and then like be inspired and turn around and go home. That's how inspiring the Metropolitan Museum of Art is. Then I'll probably go around the corner, a couple blocks away is my very favorite Greek deli. It's not really a deli, but it's like those Greek restaurants they have in New York that are like sit down. They do this amazing chop Greek salad with French fries. Need I say more? Oh my word, see, here I am talking about food all over again. Well, there we have it. Well, we should wrap this up. I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this FlossTube. I hope you're all enjoying a lovely spring wherever you are. And remember, you can see all the stuff at the Avlea website. You can follow me on Instagram, all the things. And I wish you wonderful, wonderful spring stitching. Take care, everybody.